Angie Stone's tragic passing might not have been an accident.
About 4 a.m. on Saturday morning, me and my daughter were driving to Charleston, South Carolina for her sweet 16 birthday getaway. We came up to a truck with a trailer and its flashers were on, so we slowed down some, and that's when I noticed there was an overturned vehicle in the fast lane.
Jaguar Wright is exposing the dark secrets behind it.
Have y'all seen the video that a lady posted recently who says she came upon a very tragic accident very recently where there's an overturned van that was hit by an 18-wheeler?
For decades, Angie Stone was a powerhouse in the music industry, shaping the sound of neo-soul and inspiring legends like Erykah Badu and Jill Scott. But behind the scenes, her life was a constant battle against exploitation, betrayal, and injustice.
It looked like it just happened. I pulled over, I put my flashers on, and I told my daughter to stay in the car. And I ran over, it was a van, and I ran over, and there were so many people in this van, and they were just trying to get out. And I asked if they'd called the cops, and they said, we're just trying to get out. And they were helping this woman out off the side of the van, and I grabbed her hand and I helped her get down, and she seemed out of it, and I was holding her hand and she was wobbling around, and I said, baby, you gotta sit down. And then the next thing I know, I flew and I fell down to the ground, and it felt like something not ran over me, but brushed over me. Like something just swiped over my body. And I got up and I could hear screaming, and I just focused in on one screaming, and it was my daughter. And all I could do was run across the highway and tell her to get back in the car. She had to move the car because if somebody else hit us, it could hit her. So she moved the car farther up the interstate, and I called 911, and they said they were on their way. And then all I could think to do was get to my daughter. And that's all I could do in that time. And when I was walking to my daughter, we're really running the best that I can do. I was in so much pain. My chest felt like an elephant was sitting on it. My legs were so hurt and sore. And I looked up, and there was an 18-wheeler that had crossed the median into oncoming traffic. And I knew that's what hit me and ran over and brushed over me, was the 18-wheeler. And my daughter's freaking out. She'd already called my husband by then and my father-in-law. And I just told her, we've got to get to the hospital. I can't breathe. It was so hard to breathe. I'm gonna post a video of the 18-wheeler after I left the hospital, driving back through to get to my husband and my son. I will not be posting the vehicle in the video because somebody did pass away. They did. And I won't be posting that for respect for their family. I'm sore, I'm bruised on the right side of my body. I'm very stiff everywhere. But I will keep you guys updated, and the video is gonna come at the end, okay? Hug your family tight. Hug your family tight. Bye.
What if I told you Angie Stone's tragic passing wasn't an accident? What if her death was the result of something far more sinister, something tied to the dark underbelly of the music industry? Jaguar Wright is now stepping forward with shocking claims, revealing that Angie's untimely demise may have been orchestrated by some of the most powerful figures in the business. Angie Stone wasn't just a legendary artist. She was a fighter who dared to challenge the system. But was her fight for justice the reason she met such a tragic end? Let's dive into the chilling details. Angie Stone's story begins in Columbia, South Carolina, where she was born into a family deeply rooted in faith and music. From a young age, Angie was immersed in gospel, singing at First Nazareth Baptist Church and soaking up the soulful sounds of her father's gospel quartet. Her talent was undeniable, and by her teenage years, she was already making waves. At just 16, Angie became a founding member of The Sequence, the first female hip-hop group. Their hit, Funk You Up, not only made history, but also laid the groundwork for future generations of artists. But while Angie's star was rising, the industry was already showing its ugly side. Despite their groundbreaking success, The Sequence was never given their due. Their iconic track Funk You Up was sampled by heavyweights like Dr. Dre and Mark Ronson, but Angie and her groupmates saw none of the royalties. In fact, they had to sue Mark Ronson for copyright infringement just to get a fraction of what they deserved. This was Angie's first taste of the industry's exploitation, a pattern that would haunt her for decades. But Angie wasn't one to back down. She continued to fight for her place in the industry, even as the odds stacked against her. As Angie transitioned into her solo career, she became a key figure in the neo-soul movement, collaborating with legends like Prince, Lenny Kravitz, and D'Angelo. She played a pivotal role in shaping D'Angelo's sound, contributing to his critically acclaimed albums Brown Sugar and Voodoo. But behind the scenes, their relationship was toxic. Angie later revealed that D'Angelo downplayed her contributions, refusing to give her the credit she deserved. And he wasn't the only one. Mary J. Blige allegedly took credit for Angie's work on Every Day and Die, renaming it Paradise, and releasing it without acknowledging Angie's role. It seemed like no matter how hard Angie worked, someone was always trying to take what was rightfully hers. But the betrayal didn't stop there. Angie's management team repeatedly failed, her costing her major opportunities. One of the most devastating examples was when she was supposed to land the lead role in the #1 ladies detective agency. Instead, her team fumbled the deal, and the role went to Jill Scott. Angie was left watching from the sidelines, as her career-defining moment slipped away. It was clear that the people who were supposed to have her back were only looking out for themselves. And this wasn't an isolated incident. Time and time again, Angie found herself sidelined, underpaid, and undervalued, all while her music continued to make millions for everyone but her. By the end of her life, Angie had had enough. She was preparing to take legal action against Universal Music Group for unpaid royalties. In a heartbreaking statement, she revealed, "I should have been able to retire 20 years ago with the money I've made." Angie discovered that her royalties had been stolen, her songs improperly registered, and her earnings absorbed by the very company that was supposed to support her. She was ready to fight back, but then tragedy struck. Just weeks after announcing her plans to sue, Angie was involved in a devastating car crash. She was the only victim who lost her life, leaving fans and loved ones in shock. But here's where things get suspicious. Jaguar Wright is now claiming that Angie's death wasn't an accident. She alleges that Angie was silenced for exposing the industry's darkest secrets, and the details of the crash only add to the mystery. How? Was Angie the only casualty? Was she already gone before the crash even happened? The math just isn't adding up. And when you consider the timing, just weeks after Angie announced her lawsuit, it's hard not to wonder if there's more to the story. Jaguar isn't the only one raising questions. Fans and industry insiders alike are starting to connect the dots, and what they're finding is chilling. Jaguar Wright isn't holding back. She's calling foul play, claiming that Angie was unalived by powerful people in the industry, and Jaguar knows firsthand how ruthless these players can be. She's been fighting her own battles against exploitation, revealing that she's lost millions to the same system that failed Angie. "They've been robbing me for years," Jaguar says. "They stole more money from me than they stole from Angie." Her claims have sparked a wave of speculation, with many wondering if Angie's death is part of a larger pattern of silencing artists who dare to speak out. And when you look at the history of the music industry, it's not hard to see why people are suspicious. From mysterious deaths to shady business deals, the industry has a long history of swallowing up artists who fight back. This isn't just about Angie Stone or Jaguar Wright, it's about the entire music industry. For decades, artists have been exploited, underpaid, and silenced. And while some, like Angie, have tried to fight back, the system always seems to win. But now, with whistleblowers like Jaguar Wright speaking out, the tide may be turning. Fans are starting to demand accountability, and the industry's dirty secrets are being exposed one by one. The question is, will anything actually change, or will the cycle of exploitation continue? Angie Stone's legacy is undeniable. She was a trailblazer, a visionary, and a voice for a generation. But her life was also a testament to the dark side of the music industry, a world where talent is exploited, credit is stolen, and justice is often out of reach.
Against UMG over
Now, with
unpaid,
Jaguar
we're going
Wright's
to pull up with
explosive
some of the
claims,
most shocking
we're left with
secrets
more
that the most
questions than
powerful
answers.
people in the industry want to
Was
remain.
Angie Stone's tragic passing really an accident? Or was it a calculated move to silence her? Let us know what you think in the comments, and don't forget to check out the next video for more shocking revelations.